Hello, and a very warm welcome to all the aspirants joining us today at Rungta IAS Academy. Let's get right into this explainer. What we're unpacking today is an absolutely high-yield topic for your General Studies Papers 2 and 3. We are looking at a literal paradigm shift in India's rural labor policy. Spot on, sir. We are breaking down the monumental transition from the historic MGNREGA to the brand new scheme, the VBGRAMG for Rozgar and Ajivika Gramin. So, the very first question you need to be asking yourselves as analytical aspirants is this: is the era of demand-driven rural employment officially over? Right? Make sure you mark this date in your notes, July 1st. That's when this new scheme becomes fully operational, entirely replacing the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. You know, this isn't just a simple name change, it's a fundamental overhaul in how rural policy is executed in our country. Now, while we always need to keep the core objective in mind, which is of course the welfare of our rural populations, I want you to note a key timeline here. The Union Rural Development Ministry actually notified the draft rules for this new employment scheme pretty recently, on May 22nd. This gave stakeholders exactly a one-month window to submit their feedback. Section 1. Key Scheme Differences. A Paradigm Shift. Okay, this is exactly the kind of analytical comparison examiners are hunting for in your UPSC Mains answers. Look at the old MGNREGA framework. It was universal and, crucially, demand-driven. Meaning, if work was demanded, it simply had to be provided. Full stop. But by contrast, the new scheme is supply-driven. The allocations are now going to be capped within a fixed budget determined by the union government based on objective parameters. It's a totally different approach. Moving on to Section 2, the financial and structural realignments. Transitioning to the hard numbers, we are seeing a massive shift here. 40%. The financial burden on the states is jumping significantly. Under the new act, states will literally have to bear 40% of the total expenditure. Now compare that to MGNREGA, where the union government paid 100% of labor and 75% of materials. That practically translated to a 90-10 cost share between the center and the states. That's a huge financial realignment. And these structural changes, well, they're quite double-edged. On the positive side, guaranteed workdays are actually increasing from 100 up to 125, which sounds great. However, under Section 5.1, the union now empowers itself to notify rural areas for implementation. That means it is no longer a universally applied guarantee across the board. Furthermore, there's a brand new 60-day blackout period. This essentially pauses the program during peak agricultural seasons, explicitly to make sure labor is available for farming.
All right, Section 3, State Objections and Cooperative Federalism. Aspirants, it's time to put on your GS Paper 2 hats. View these specific state demands purely through the lens of federal friction. We're seeing at least 3 states, including BJP-led governments like Madhya Pradesh and Bihar, strongly questioning this financial shift to a 40% burden. Just look at the wage demands. Bihar is asking for an increase from 255 to 413 rupees. Jammu and Kashmir wants a hike from 272 to 311. Jharkhand and Punjab, they're demanding competitive market wages, while Uttarakhand is seeking a compensatory hike just because of its tough landscape. And crucially, almost all of these states are pointing out severe delays by the center in clearing wage and material bills. So lots of friction there.
Which brings us to Section 4, Centralization of Power Concerns.
Building right on those state objections, let's look at a critical detail that academics and activists are raising regarding this disproportionate power shift to the center. The draft rules state that interstate fund distribution is going to be based on the objective parameters of the 16th Finance Commission. Well, that sounds totally fair on paper, right? However, the exact methodology for applying those parameters is determined entirely at the discretion of the union government. So academics are arguing that this creates a structural imbalance, leaving way too much power concentrated in the hands of the center. And that leads us to our final provocative thought for the day. Does the discretionary application of Finance Commission parameters and welfare schemes actually undermine the very spirit of cooperative federalism?
Exactly, sir. Aspirants, I want you to frame this as a potential UPSC interview question. You need to analyze both sides impartially. Look closely at the fiscal numbers and consider the real-world governance impact. We really hope this explainer leaves you feeling encouraged, fully prepared, and ready to tackle these complex issues in your exams. Keep studying hard, and we will see you in the next one.